Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about delusional thinking and the magic of reality. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quiz. Now, this is a trick question, so be prepared. Okay, you have a leak in the plumbing in the bathroom. What do? A, meditate. B, call the plumber. C, turn off the water to the house and then call the plumber. Okay, are you thinking about this? All right, does everybody have their answer? What's the answer? It depends. If you know how to turn off the water to the house, which of course I don't, although I should, then you go turn off the water and you call the plumber. If you don't know how to turn off the water to the house, you better call the plumber really fast. But if you're so freaked out that you can't do either of those, you better take a moment to meditate. So do you see my point? My point is there is a purpose to everything, and that everything has to be used appropriately. But do we do that? No. We get stuck in certain patterns of what we do and how we respond to situations. And it's not accidental that we get into these patterns. Sometimes these are things we've been taught from childhood in our families. This is the way you handle a situation. You always meditate when there's a leak. And of course, your bathroom rots and so on. And you don't even see that the bathroom is rotting because you've been so trained into thinking you're supposed to meditate at the time of a crisis. Or you frantically run around trying to turn off the water because you have this belief that's been taught to you that you should be able to handle every situation even though you haven't got a clue or you haven't got the strength to turn it. Or you call the plumber because you've been taught to be helpless. Oh my God, I can't do anything. So you see, everything that we do, we've been conditioned to have a certain kind of response. Now, is that a serious problem? You bet it is. In our society as a whole, we look at situations where we have responses of military action because we have been affronted by others, whether that military action is warranted or not. In those situations, it might be better to meditate. On the other hand, if we've been taught to be very passive, we see the Mack truck is coming, but we say, oh, well, it's God's will, maybe it's time. So our belief systems, our societal belief systems, our family belief systems, our life experiences, all can get us to pick up the wrong tool at the wrong time. For example, if you as a child had a good idea about how to handle a situation and you tried to present your idea and your father was a hopeless drunk and felt very threatened by you having any ideas at all and gave you a swat, well, after a while, you might shut down. You might even stop thinking altogether. So your family situation, it could be your mother who's the alcoholic too. I'm not trying to cast aspersions. So it could be your family, it could be your society, it could be your religion that tells you what is the appropriate way to respond in any given situation. Now, I want to talk a little bit about delusional thinking and how it fits into this. So many of us were brought up with religious beliefs that made us very passive, that made us shame-based, that made us wait for God, notwithstanding the fact that I was told at an early age, God helps those who help themselves. By the way, I thought that was very bad. I didn't like that one. That, well, what about all those people who can't help themselves? Well, isn't that the case? There are people who can't help themselves, and you shouldn't shame them. And there are people who can help themselves, and they should get off their buns and do something. But if you're trained by your spirituality, by your belief system, by your social system, by your family system, by your experience, you will probably automatically pick up the same tool over and over instead of taking a moment to assess and being guided by source, or even just being guided by common sense as to what to do in any given situation. Now, what does this have to do with delusional thinking? Is that, as I said, many of us came from belief systems which made us passive. And whether it was because you were a woman and your place was in the home, or you were a child and your place was to be seen but not heard, or you just, you're evil and sinful and everything is according to God's will and you really can't do anything about it. Whatever those beliefs, however those beliefs actually correlate with life experience that reinforces and reinforces and reinforces that belief, like you get swatted down for trying to do something. So many of us came from that kind of experience that we did not have the automatic response of evaluating what we could do. Think of yourself as a battered wife who gets accustomed to feeling like she is so unworthy and useless that she can't really do anything for herself. And so the door is open, she's afraid to walk out, right? So in comes new age, new thought thinking. Positive thinking is like, you can do it. It's like, oh, I have a new toy. Yes, I can do it. I can do it. Yes, I can do this. I can be anything that I want. I have been oppressed. I have been told that I'm useless. I have been told because I'm a woman, I can't play football with the big guys. I have been told, because whatever it is that I think that I've been told, just because I'm crippled doesn't mean that I can't run in the 26K. It's like, I can do it. I can meditate. I can visualize. I can do it. So, okay, so this was a good antidote to passivity, but it really is an invitation to delusional thinking. Now, why would we want to get deluded in our thinking? Because most of us don't care for reality. We don't like our circumstances. We don't like how we feel. We don't like the stress in our lives. We all feel kind of helpless and inadequate in some or a million ways. Everybody feels this way. I don't care. I had a client once who walked out on me and never came back because I said, I feel that you feel hopelessly inadequate. Never saw the guy again. Of course he felt hopelessly inadequate. That's why he couldn't stand it when I said so. So we all have feelings of great insecurity, even when we cover them up, even when they're unreasonable. Okay, sometimes we're insecure about things that we really don't need to be insecure about. Sometimes we're insecure about things because we really aren't good at them or we can't do them. But we can't tell the difference sometimes. It's like, oh, I feel insecure. Well, what do? Think positively. That's the answer. If you're insecure and you really could do it, positive thinking might help you. Maybe it would be a really good thing for you to visualize yourself doing something. But if you really can't do it and somebody tells you to think positively, think positively, think positively. All you do is become more and more upset because you think you're thinking positively. You can't change the fact that you can't run that 26K marathon. Or am I mixing up running and walking? Anyway, whatever it is, obviously I don't do those things. And so then you begin to feel like, oh, you stop looking at reality. You don't say, well, the reason I can't do this is because I have no prosthetics and I have no legs. And I'm 105. But that's not why I can't do that run. It's because I'm not thinking positively enough. Look what happens. Your whole focus is on whether or not you're thinking positively instead of thinking about whether or not you can actually do the thing that you think you're supposed to be able to do if you were thinking positively. So you see what I'm saying? What's happening is you've taken out the wrong tool for the wrong job. In that case, the tool is I evaluate my condition. And then I ask myself, A, can I do that with enough support? And B, is it worth it to try? The amount of energy that it might take me to try to run that race might be totally wasted. I really should be studying because I'm supposed to be an intuitive counselor. or a nurse, and that time should be devoted to that. I really am not suited for running, but I could walk. So we get into these beliefs, and then we have to prove that the beliefs are right because nobody is telling us anything different. See, one of the things that happens with us humans is that we don't have individual delusions. We have collective delusions. I think that if I behave a certain way, that I'm going to be happy. Like if I'm partying, then I'm really happy. You know, if I'm drunk, wasted, stupid. I mean, I hear people who are always justifying their substance abuse and their addictions to alcohol and to drugs and so on by saying, oh, it was great. It was great. I was just wasted. It was so great. I think, I know they're lying. I know they're lying. I know how they feel the next one. I can feel it. I'm an intuitive, right? It's also common sense. You know, you're all wasted the next day. You feel like crap. But you have to pretend that this is really cool because everybody around you is pretending that it's cool. And if you don't pretend it's cool, then you're going to be out of step with the group. And the real reason that you're doing it is because you want to belong. And if you don't belong, if you say, ooh, this feels like crap, you're not going to belong. So here again, now we have the beliefs of the collective that are getting us to do these stupid things and to delude ourselves. So yes, we delude ourselves that when we're alcoholic that we can drink a little bit. We delude ourselves that spending our energy partying, having indiscriminate sex, drinking, drugging is really, 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 really soul satisfying. It's so cool, when the reality is that all it is an escape from reality because we can't stand it. So here we have one reason that we delude ourselves is that we're in a collective of delusions and we're afraid to step out. But the other is we delude ourselves because, as I said earlier, we all feel insecure. So the idea that we can manifest anything we want, or that we are godlike, or that we are unlimited, it really feeds the ego, which is just bent out of shape by the reality that we are actually extremely limited. We as individuals are unbelievably limited. You know, you can say, I am going to climb that mountain. Well, most people don't climb mountains all by themselves. But even if you do, if you are one of the few that can actually climb the mountain by themselves, who made the gear that you use to climb that mountain? Who made the car that got you to the mountain? You never did it yourself. That we do anything ourselves is one of the biggest illusions and delusions of human beings. We are so full of pride, hubris, arrogance. I did this, but it's all a big cover-up of the fact that I feel small. I was in the crib and my mother had to change my diaper. How humiliating. I need help. I don't know everything. I'm going to show my weakness. Everybody's going to see how weak I am. Oh my God, no, I have to cover that up. I'm going to cover that up. And so here's all these people who come out of so many traditions that teach them to be passive, afraid to really rock the boat, joining together with other people who are taking on the same delusional thinking that they would have to say, the emperor has no clothes. And all of this feeds into the ego's need to pretend that we are more powerful than we are because we hate the feeling of powerlessness that we all experience living in this world because the universe is bigger than we are. Life is more powerful than we are, no matter who we are. You know, they say pride cometh before the fall. No kidding. No kidding. I saw a movie years ago that had a great song that was said, the harder they come, the harder they fall, or something like, anyway, it was, you get the idea. You know, we're all always trying to strive to be at the top. And then you laugh. You know, you look at these people who get to the top, like the big pop star or the big, you know, football star or whatever it is. And the big pop star is popping pills like crazy to deal with their feelings of emptiness and insecurity. And the big gorilla, football player is pumping himself up all the time to go out there and convince himself that it doesn't bother him that he's getting beat up all the time, that he's having concussions, that he's being broken. Because look at all that he's getting from that, the accolades, the money, the prestige, the little woman who adores him. Delusion, 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 delusion. Are you beginning to get my drift? Now, the New Age movement and the New Thought movement have brought the art of delusion to a very high level. They teach you how to delude yourself. They train you in delusional thinking. Now, as I said before, we have different tools for different things. If you, in fact, can do something, and you have been programmed to thinking you can't, then it's probably a good idea to say, I really can do that, and affirm it. That's marvelous. But if you really can't do it, you're just puffing yourself up. You're puffing up your ego. So take generations of people who really feel relatively powerless in the world for whatever reason, myriad reasons. I don't make enough money, I'm not good looking enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not athletic enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not in the right family, whatever it is. Feeling somewhat or very, very inadequate, insecure, and you give them this toy. You can do it. You. Because you are like God. All you have to do is take money and, just finger through it and get used to it and get over this feeling that it's not yours. You're entitled to this. You have an entitlement to this money. Or make a board. Somebody told me that there are manifestation boards. You have pictures of things that you can do, all you have to do is clear your mind and own your greatness. By the way, there's other programs like EST and Landmark. All of these programs, by the way, have value. But when you have the automatic response that this is it, and you stop thinking, you stop being reality, you stop actually checking in with higher guidance, you are deluded. Own your greatness. Nobody's great. I don't know where you get off the idea that you are. What about own yourself? How about accept yourself as you are and try to reach whatever potential you have? But no, you have unlimited potential. Unlimited. I've never met anyone with unlimited potential. I hope to God I never do. I can't imagine what that person would be like. But when people cluster together, they think positive. I'm going to give you an example of positive thinking and how delusional it can be. We had a real estate agent who was really big into positive thinking. And we were supposed to be in escrow on a house. But she was so messed up. She never opened the escrow. She never did anything about actually getting the inspections and all of that. And we're ready to close escrow, and she hadn't started anything yet. And when I pointed it out to her, she just said, "You're such a bummer, Beth. I mean, everything is fine. It's fine. You just aren't thinking positively." No, I wasn't thinking positively. I fired her. And that was the result of her positive thinking. She was positive thinking herself instead of getting the job done. Do you know anybody else like that? Who sits around, fantasizes about who they are, goes into high places and never deals with reality. So if you are using meditation as your normal, automatic tool to deal with a leaking plumbing in your bathroom, you are going to rot out your house. But now, what are you going to do? The house is rotting. You've let the leak go on for months, years perhaps. The whole floor is collapsing. The subfloor is collapsing. Oh my God, what have I done? I have an answer for you. Meditate. You will be so high that you will not even notice. After all, it's only physical reality. It's not important. It's an illusion. No, you are the illusion. What happens is, when we get into that kind of thing and we don't question it and we don't stop ourselves, reality gets worse and our need to delude ourselves gets more and more intense because we have more reality to avoid. It's like people who take drugs or go into manic mode or go do some, pull out their angel cards, to try to fix their problems, and they're not dealing with the problems. They want guidance. Oh, it's really, all of this is being caused by your ex-husband who is sending you negative energy. Just put 5 candles around the room and the leak will stop because you have cleared the block to the leak stopping. Now, sometimes it's true. Sometimes you really need to do these things, but this has become an addiction. It is an addiction. Positive thinking, delusional thinking, manifestation consciousness. Own your extraordinary whatever it is. It's like a disease. It's an addiction that when you practice it, creates the situation that you're trying to escape from to start with. So if you don't open your mail, but you go into higher levels of consciousness, you won't see your bills. If you don't see your bills, you won't pay them. When you don't pay your bills, you lose things. That's the time to go into higher consciousness, to elevate yourself, to remind yourself how great you really are. I cannot tell you how many people that I've met who are middle-aged or who are just this, who have carried these beliefs for decades, and they keep hanging on to the beliefs and saying, I don't know why I haven't manifested. Well, maybe you haven't worked, or maybe you're not going to school for the things that you need to do, or maybe it's not in you to do this or that, or something. Call the plumber, for God's sake. Now, some of you may think that I'm being very mean-spirited, but I'm not. This is serious. We are coming to a point where people are too old to delude themselves anymore. Their lives are passing by and they're in a fog. They might as well be on drugs, and some of them are. Wake up! The magic is in the reality. The magic is in being guided to deal with reality on its own terms. The magic is in being calm and using spirituality to help you to look at reality, to deal with reality. That is where the magic comes from. The magic isn't, oh, I want to become like a divine master who can be in 2 places at the same time. God, just be here. Try to be in 1 place at one time. Once you've mastered that, we can worry about 2. So it's sad. My heart goes out to the many people who are still stuck in that form of thinking and who are blaming themselves for not having fulfilled all this unlimited potential that they told themselves that they had, that they never had. And that I have compassion for them because they're still beating themselves up for not fulfilling their ideas instead of changing their ideas and belief to fit reality. I am praying for us all. I've only been talking about the New Age and New Thought and positive thinking, but delusional thinking runs through every society in different forms. God will take care of it. That's just as delusional. When are we going to learn to live with reality? to be able to pull out the right tool at the right time, healing ourselves emotionally, questioning those beliefs that are really hurting us, asking for divine guidance will tell us whether we should meditate, call the plumber, or turn off the water to the house. And therein lies the magic of being able to call upon all the universe's resources. Common sense, experience, observation, and our connection to the divine. Thank you.